Turn on the box.
I like your style. Too bad you're not a singer.
Hurry in, for the SWDP e-chapel is opening. It is. We are opening our doors and allowing in the hoi polloi, which is you, brethren, sistren, probably want the full, and those that do not like to be pigeonholed. What the hell? Go away, VLC. You're drunk. Oh, no, we didn't want to go there. Can we go back? Yeah, there we go. That's it. Okay. So, technical shenanigans from Spooky Month hanging over. Welcome. Of course, all of you freaks, geeks, and each and every one of you totally unique, to the old e-chapel. Stream Elements still believes it's Spooky Month, but it's not. It's New-vember. And on Twitch, if you're watching on Twitch, the title of the stream is correct. So, yes. Did I drop frames? I might have dropped frames right at the beginning. What a shame that would be. We shall find out later on. Okay, so yes, New-vember. New month name. Spooky Month has departed, as is the way with this arbitrary cycle of chaos magic that we call the calendar. And of course, here at the SWDP, we like to harness that energy of change to give each month its own extra special name. And the goddess has vouchsafed for me that this is to be New-vember. Of course, because of the new things that the SWDP, South Wales Discordian Press, proudly not publishing Discordian work since its inception a couple of years ago, probably during the pandemic. 4 years, not published a single book, which is great because, the print is dead. Yeah. So why would we have November? It's occurred to me that the Stream Elements bot that I was supposed to update, I haven't, partially, although mostly, because my work computer died and I had to get a new work computer and set that up, and that took up quite a lot of my time. But yes, so at some point it's going to pop up some nonsense about me giving money to charity, which I do, but not via the vehicle. This is from an old version of the Twitch stream, which is not centered upon the spiritual journey on which we undertake here. So I should warn you, if that pops up in the chat, I will type "not really" or something underneath that chat message. We'll see if it comes up. It only seems to come up if people chat, which is quite annoying because for weeks and weeks and weeks nobody chatted, so the bot didn't intercede and say, "Hey, have you seen this?" And then as soon as they did start chatting, it happened. Oh, technical things. Why are you so? It was Spooky Month, so I guess the ghost in the machine was to be expected. at that time. But we must not proceed a step further, of course, without encountering the disclaimer. And while we're at it, we shall make sure that we know that 23 is coming. And you can see the countdown there until 23 will arrive later on. That's interesting. This new computer doesn't seem to stay open if you've got Twitch open, which is quite disappointing. I've just got another preview over here. It's like Jodrell Bank here. I've got screens everywhere and previews and gosh knows what. Anyway, the disclaimer. All acts of Discordianism portrayed herein are for spiritual entertainment purposes only. No spiritual enlightenment or transcendent experience is offered or implied. Leaps of faith and logical backflips are performed by trained sophists. Do not attempt to recreate at home. Any resemblance to other religions, alive, dead, or merely untenable is entirely coincidental. Hail Eris and immanentize the eschaton of brands of the Discordian Society. All associated intellectual property rights are probably also wrongs, just the way they are these days. Fnord. Very good. And of course, we go straight into the order of service, for such is the cradle of familiarity that we like to bring out at the beginning of the service. And also, of course, for those people who might be new to Discordian services delivered via the medium of Twitch. And many of you, if any of you have wandered in, you are pretty much new. I must confess, I did see a Discordian service, or something that claimed to be a Discordian service, happening on Twitch once, and it didn't. You see, I've embraced the structure, because every time we work in an Erisian way, we introduce Erisian energy somehow. I have ordered this service, as we've just seen here, but that deepens the pursuit of chaos. It's a whole thing. You'll come to understand in the Discordian way. So yes, tonight we will be beginning with our sermon of sorts, deep thoughts, which is a little bit of housekeeping this week, particular to this particular sect, the SWDP, and our E-Chapel. As the goddess has commanded us in this season of Aftermath, we will find out how to glory not only her own name, but the virtues of Discordianism, which we'll be discussing tonight. Faces of Eris. Every week, somewhere, I recognise the goddess winking at me from some place in some way, and this week's Face of Eris is a mystery, as it always is, until it is revealed. Reflective Tarot. We have the tarot deck here in order to partake of the reflective tarot. I have forgotten to do the thing which I did last week, which was pre-shuffle the cards. How silly of me. I shall get them ready for a shuffle now, because trying to do it all during reflective tarot is a thing. If you're confused about what reflective tarot is, please do ask in the chat. If you're confused about anything I say, I should probably up front say you're confused about it because it's Discordianism. It's supposed to be confusing, okay? So you're not alone. Everyone is confused all the time. That is life. That is chaos. And you are in the right place if you are confused. You're not in the right place if you're seeking answers, because, well, you know, the answers are overrated, in my opinion. But we do have Kanda, which is a funny way of saying Q&A. The joke gets weaker and weaker as the weeks progress. And of course, we finish with the weekly sacrament. Every Discordian, upon a Friday, secretes themselves, isolates themselves, and joyously partakes in a hot dog. You may notice that these are not hot dogs, but they are sacramental hot dogs. If a cracker can substitute for the corpse of a messiah, a small candy noodle can substitute for a hot dog that is not within a bun, as we are commanded as good Discordians to do. Obviously, the last part of the sort of orientation, as it were, which I like to share at the beginning of the video, states that if you're watching the video wherever you are, you could be watching on Twitch live, in which case it's definitely Friday, although it might not be, because time zones being what they are, some places it might not be Friday when you're watching this. I don't know. Some places it might be Saturday. I think in Australia, Is Australia ahead or behind? I can't remember. But, you know, some places it might be Saturday or some places it might be Thursday. But during the actual commission of the service, it is Friday. And the reason I have to mention that as well is because after it has gone out live on Twitch of a Friday evening, I transfer it to YouTube so that you as a Discordian do not have to miss out. It's your little slice of Friday, and you can join the service over on YouTube/Eno M Koney, at Eno M Koney. You know, that's where you'll find my channel. And if you please like the video, subscribe to the channel, spread the word of Eris with me, and of course if you're watching on Twitch, a follow is always appreciated. So yes, all of that aside, Deep Thinker isn't thinking about anything this week. His mind is blank. He is considering it's because I forgot to do this slide properly. But maybe it is also a cosmic message. He is deep in meditation because he knows, as we know or will shortly know, that this month is a very important month here in the SWDP and for Discordians following the path of Eris under my inexpert, incompetent and underwhelming guidance. I did say right in the first service, Discordian is a great spiritual path, religion, whatever you want to call it, for the reason that if you look my service you think I could do better than that, then the following week you're perfectly welcome to try. Yeah, that's how it works. Every Discordian is a pope. Every Discordian is a pastor. Or pastor. Every Discordian is pastor. Boil you in water for 10 minutes. You come out soft and floppy and delicious. And if we throw you at a wall, you will stick there. So yes, you can do what you like. Yeah, you can partake in, share in my service. You can do your own service. You can not bother to do a service at all, but I've already talked about conflicts that occur therein. But here at the SWDP, we are looking forward to St. Flup's Day, the 20th of November. And if you want to know how it is that St. Flup's Day came to be on the 20th of November, you can merely watch last week's service and it will explain that to you. Now, of course, St. Flup is one of the 5 types of Discordian saint, the Meme Lord. And so we should say that St. Flup's Day, the 20th of November, will be happening on the 20th of November, and of course we have such lore, much meme lord. Wow, we will be celebrating the saint. Now, Discordianism again is an interesting religion in that it has it has disposable saints. I mean, I think one of the things about the other spiritual paths that have more rigid and recognized saints is that then you have a lot to keep up with, and it's always very rigid, and then things kind of go a bit wiggy. And Saint Valentine, for example, I'll tell you one thing: he's not the patron saint of cards with hearts on and meals for two at the local Italian restaurant, but that's what he's kind of become, in much the same way that Saint Patrick, he would like to be most renowned, I think, for driving the snakes out of Ireland. There were snakes in Ireland and he drove them out, and he's like, you know, isn't that good, guys? I've driven the snakes out of Ireland. And they said, well, we're drinking Guinness and wearing green leprechaun hats, and it's the Guinness itself, the foam is dyed green and blah 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 blah. And he's like, but that's not what this is not what. So yes, that is the downside of being a saint, is that of a rigid type, is that you cannot you are forever at risk of being associated with something that is nothing to do with you. Well, Discordian saints don't need to worry about that. The Discordian calendar that you will find in your Principia Discordia, and I'm not showing it again because I've shown it so many weeks. Go and watch an old, just about throw a rock, you'll hit a Discordian service in which I showed you where the calendar is. Trust me, there is one. And it's on page 34. Yeah, opposite a picture of a very confused looking man. 34, I think. I think it's 34. I'm not going to pick it up. I'm not going to check. I might be lying, but the Principia lies. So, yeah, if you look at that calendar, you'll see that they have saints that are rigid, that are placed in there, and it makes no sense whatsoever. And as well as which, they weren't kind enough to leave law about those saints behind. It's very easy, I think, to become a Discordian saint. And they say, we're making a calendar. Do you want to be a saint? And someone says, yeah, I do. What's your Discordian name? And they tell them, and then they make you a saint, yeah? But the problem is that was literally it. We just listed it out. And some saints have law, but they don't appear in the calendar. And some saints appear in the calendar, and they don't have law. So this tells us, through the mechanism of incompetence and not thinking things through and having spoken too much of the devil's lettuce, yeah, that if we are to create a calendar that contains arbitrary saints, we should have law for those saints, but we haven't done that. And so what we are going to do at the beginning of every damn season is make up a new saint, venerate their name, and celebrate them on a day decided by the roll of a few D6s. And that is how it has come to pass. So you don't need to watch last week's service. Now that's how we come up with St. Flup's Day. I also used a picker wheel, just for a bit of carnivalia. Yeah, but that's how we are. St. Flup's Day is coming, and it's on the 32nd day of the season of Aftermath, which does place it on the 20th of November. It's a Wednesday. I've checked. So that is when we are going to celebrate as Discordians our saint, a meme lord, St. Flup. So what does that mean? What does that mean in the big picture? Well, the big picture says we have 5 types of SWDP saint. Why? Because of the rule of 5s. Yeah, there shouldn't be 6, there shouldn't be 4, and there shouldn't be 7. There should be 5 types of anything. All numbers come back to 5. 23, 2 and 3. Add it together, you get 5. So there are 5 types of SWDP saint, and they're particularly for us because no one else really cares. Okay, so what are the 5 types? Well, we have 1, the chaotician, or shaper. Now, I got this by doing a very simple thing. AI has become, and it isn't always a wonderful thing. In fact, a lot of the time, it's not a wonderful thing at all. But in the case of saying, what are Discordian virtues? To be fair, there might have been a single article, but Google's AI read a bunch of stuff for me, summarized it, and said, these are some Discordian virtues. To be honest, Discordianism is about order and chaos. So virtue and vice are side issues. You see, the point is that you have a reality tunnel, and maybe it is important to you within that reality tunnel to be a good person, but that is a subset of sitting in between Eresian and Anoresian forces, which means that, so, basically any virtue of the Discordian is something that promotes chaos, or at least Eresian energy. Now remember at this point that there is a deep and underlying cosmic chaos. That is not Eresian. Eresian is just, hey, you're going to surf the chaos that emits from your persona. In the case of creating Eresian energy, is just harnessing and, of course, can be shaping the underlying cosmic chaos, which we as human beings are too stupid to perceive. Okay? And then there's Anoresian forces, which attempt to impose order upon chaos. And they can fight your Eresian energy workings, but they cannot fight cosmic chaos because they are necessarily beneath the cosmic chaos. Therefore, all attempts to produce Anoresian energy are doomed to failure, and that is why it is perfectly acceptable for a Discordian to work with Anoresian forces, because they know that all they're doing is rearranging chairs on a sinking ship that's flying through the cosmic void, that has no order, sense or meaning, and therefore the chaos will leak around the edges of the Anoresian. But there are people who it's the same thing either way. Take Eresian forces too seriously and you'll get squashed. Take Anoresian forces too seriously and you'll end up in grey-face space. And nobody wants that, because that is probably the ultimate kind of insanity that a human being can find themselves in possession of, believing wholeheartedly that they can be in ultimate control. Don't be silly. You're a shaved ape. Yeah, you not. It's not going to happen. Okay, guys, that's not going to happen. Okay, so the first type of SWDP is the chaotician, and what they do is they don't work. They work very specifically with the Erisian forces, and they shape the chaos as it comes flying past. The thing where I've named the month, yeah, that is a shaper, a chaotician kind of operation, because what I'm doing is receiving a chaotic idea of what the month should be called, yeah, and I name the month that, and all the Discordian activities that I do take place in the month, that, you know, that's how it works, and that is essentially the chaotician energy. So we're not doing so any month, yeah, we could spin the theatrical wheel, and the saint that we venerate for that month could be a chaotician, and then the activities that we do around that celebration would fit in with that. And we'll get back down to that when we actually have to worry about that situation. Okay, but we're going to move on, as this is the one, the meme lord, the symbolist. And yeah, it's very important when working with chaos to conjure symbols. A symbol is a thing that has... Oh, I'm going to need some of my water. Oh, lovely. Inherent meaning just by itself, and commonly agreed as well. So, of course, a symbol in this case would be the sacred cow. There it is. That is a Discordian symbol. It is the Discordian symbol. It's the Discordian symbol that we all know. That is, and of course, the other thing in the slides at the beginning, 5-fingered hand of Eris. That is also a Discordian symbol. It's one of those things that means that a Discordian is nearby or has touched the space that you're currently looking on, because you're now seeing a sacred cow or a 5-fingered hand of Eris. But obviously, yeah, we call them meme lords, these saints, because the human race has embraced this act of symbol manipulation in order to... and it's interesting because people, I think memes. Well, we've come up with a name recently for a brand of meme, but actually, I think it covers all memes. Brain rot. The idea that, you know, seeing a meme thing. I have, of course, used the font Impact for these slides precisely because it is a symbol in itself of memishness, and Discordianism loves memishness. And it's because memes are a way of gluing concepts together such that they cause a little switch to trip in your head and you know, hopefully inspires laughter, yeah? Or they even have like thought memes, philosophical memes, things like that. But the whole point is to use humour by mashing up symbols and references together to produce new thought and connect human beings. Thus, the meme is a very noble thing and a cause to aspire to. So this month's saint, a meme lord, is for us to celebrate all things meme-ish. And in order, therefore, we should be thinking that our meme lord Saint Flup did do something to sort of bring us together through the media of symbological manipulation. So that's a meme lord. Then we have the illusioneer or creator, and this is the energy that we recognize. Yeah, that reality itself, as old Bob put it, reality is what we can get away with. That what we have shaped, our reality tunnel, yes, is an illusion. Like there are things that we can call consensus reality that lie outside of our control. And, you know, if there's a car driving towards us at 50 miles per hour, it is unwise to accuse it of being an illusion and to refuse to get out of the way, because there are states of being such as death which we cannot avoid, and once they've happened everyone can consensually agree you're out of there. yeah, and the car hitting you at 50, 60 miles per hour is likely to bring that to bear. That means that all of those events take place in this place called consensus reality. But then in everyday life, there are situations where we can choose to believe this, that, or the other. And that happens quite often. Getting driven at by a car at a high speed should be a rare occurrence, to the point that some people may never have it happen to them in their entire lives. But getting up in the morning and making up what, situation you're in, feeling a sense of agency or not feeling a sense of agency or whatever, any of that, that's under our control. And that's as much reality, as flimsy as it is, as anything else. And when I say flimsy, what I'm saying is that we all get to do that. Every human being gets to do that. And so sometimes two people meet and they believe exactly opposite things about some matter or other, and then there's a multi-threaded flame war, and people get banned off social media accounts, people get blocked, it all gets very heated. And all of this is the grand illusion of reality. And illusioneers, they seek to appreciate, to evolve, to introduce new information, new possibility into the illusion that is reality. So, when you say creator, we're quite literal. If somebody makes a movie, an animated movie. I went to see The Wild Robot the other day and came out thinking, why is it that children's movies have occasionally been much deeper than most adult movies for the past decade? I mean, Wild Robot, Soul, all of these things, they have a lot going on in there, much more than any adult movie. But what I'm saying is those people are all, by dint of being creating an animated movie that uses the metaphor of a robot and wild animals and so on to tell a story, they are illusioneers, they are creators. And it happens at that level. It also happens at slightly more sketchy levels, anything that happens under the auspices, or anything that happens under the auspices of some kind of supernatural scam or prank. They're also creations within the illusion. So there's a dark side. There's a dark side, I suppose, to any of it. There are dark memes. Yeah, you can try to bend chaos, the chaos that's flying at you, to dark purposes. And I think the whole point of this is that, the 5 virtues, as you shall see when they interlock together, preclude the darker side of some of the ones that are on the surface more neutral, a matter on which we shall speak more deeply anon, because as you can probably see from the countdown, we only have 17 meager seconds until 23, because as we have seen from the countdown, 23 is coming and has been coming for the last 23 minutes. And so we will need this button here to go 23. 23 is here. When I first started this 23 business, I didn't know where it was going to lead. And in fact, I haven't had at this stage much time to consider it, although this is a meme lords month. And I guess the 5 thing, the 23 thing, they are memes that existed before the internet existed. They are detailed in the Principia. They were spread through pamphlets, zines by crazy Discordian types and chaos wizards of the past, 5 decades and so on and so forth. And so, 6 decades. I don't know. A lot of decades anyway. Not quite a century yet, but we'll get there. But yeah, and 23 exists in that continuum. Yeah, we have to have 23. We have to mark 23. 23 is the unexpected tangent, although in this case, because of the timer, it is entirely expected. But it is, in this case, that you don't know where you're going to be in your conversation. We could have been as far as the Faces of Eris or whatever by this time, but we weren't. So there we go. Right. Okay. So I think that's enough 23 for this one. Let's do our next other thing. The Enjoyer, who I've put as the Lord of Misrule, because honestly, whereas Chaotician, Meme Lord and Illusioneer all kind of need some kind of qualifier in the brackets, Enjoyer enjoyer is fairly self-explanatory, and so I just wanted to put another angle on enjoyer to sort of help this, because there's disruption. Shaper, symbolist, creator, they can all be explained. Chaotician, meme lord, illusioneer is a way to break that up in your head, make you uncertain about what exactly you're going for. It's because it's all about the vibes, and specificity in language doesn't really encourage vibes. Somewhere between, chaotician and shaper, meme lord and symbolist, illusioneer and creator, enjoyer and lord of misrule, the truth lies, and you should never quite be able to put your finger on it. But while you're not putting your finger on it, and while you are doing whatever, you should enjoy the experience, because the enjoyer, the lord of misrule, is here to say, it's opposite day. It's here to say, the king is the fool and the fool is the king. I am wearing my crown. It is a celebration of life through enjoyment. And enjoyers, if we're going to have a rule for the enjoyer, and enjoyers generally don't like rules, but they kind of like this one, it's that the more people are enjoying on the occasion of a lord of misrule being in charge, the better. So your enjoyment shouldn't cause anyone else's non-enjoyment. Everything should be cool. And this is what I'm saying. It's like the enjoyer is the lord of play. He is or she, or it. The names of the saints are purposely non-sexed. So, and indeed, the images of the saints are also, gender neutral, because we don't know how the saint manifests their gender. We don't know that, because they're made up for a start, and we've deliberately made it so that they could be anything. So the image that you have in your head is, I should have, of course, got rid of the 23s coming. 23's not coming again. 23 only comes once per thing. While we're in 23, I should switch the 23 thing off. Forget that countdown. That was a null and void countdown. Yes, so the enjoyer enjoys, and indeed, each of these, like when you create a meme, when you create anything in the Discordian fab, when you shape the chaos, you should enjoy it. And indeed, all of these layers should be mutually supportive. So you should not yuck anyone's yum while you are creating, symbolizing, or shaping. Yeah. Some people think that causing people to feel offense or disgust is a way of provoking the mind in a Discordian way. And that could be true, okay? But the point is, if your agenda is to get them to feel, I don't know, like they're being foolish in following a thing or not following a thing, or if this is your agenda, then that is not true mind flippery. Yeah, mind flippery, is to make people not entirely sure what they think. Well, I might be right, but I think I'm right in a different way. I think I was right in the wrong way. Or it might think there is no right on such a matter. Or, maybe you feel that you are wrong, but you should feel wrong. Like, I feel wrong, but it's a liberation to know that. If any of these are not the case, then all you're doing is engaging in some kind of browbeating, shall we even say bullying, through the media and the point is, a meme is supposed to be a joke, so there's no grey facier attitude than to go, they can't take a joke, or I was only joking. That is grey face trying to slip under the mat in a Discordian fashion, because all of it is about engineering control, and Discordians don't control and they don't submit to control. So that's how it is. And the enjoyer reminds us to enjoy that, not being in control and not submitting to other people's attempts to control them. Enjoy that experience. Enjoy the experience of using your meat sack to harvest sensory data for some unknown purpose. Fate, free will, who knows? Enjoy it as a personality. I think, therefore I am, therefore I should enjoy the Lord of Misrule. And finally, of course, the intuitive practitioner, which is by far the most clunky side cause of this, but they are known by the more pleasant to the ear name of the Vibe Rider. And this is the point. All of the chaos, all of the memes, everything you create within the framework of Erisian and Anoresian frameworks, everything you enjoy, it's all about the vibes. Yeah, it's all about the mood. It's all about the tone that has been set, either by whatever means you choose to set it. That is the magic. You set a vibe, yeah, then you have used magic to do that thing. So, for example, this month, yes, has been shaped and symbolized to be New-vember. That is what we're calling this month. And so a Vibe Rider's job would be to ride the New-vember wave all the way through 30 days until we enter the next month. And when it comes to, Saint Flup, a Vibe Rider will be, I want to get into that Saint Flup energy, meme lord energy, I want to ride it. Yeah. So these are all aspects of kind of the same sort of mindset, but they are all facets, like a shiny 5-faceted jewel. And those are the types of SWDP Saint. And as I said, this month, Chaos has determined that this is a season, Aftermath, and in the month of November, in Aftermath, we will celebrate our meme lord, Saint Flup. And that will be a thing. And of course, in order to fully appreciate the flupness of Saint Flup, the meme lordness of Saint Flup, we must work on lore. Saint Flup, by the time Saint Flup's Day comes round, should have as rich a lore as we could make. We should recite that lore. We should place him in the Hall of Saints, because on November 21st, make no mistake, we shall never mention Saint Flup again. He is like a small plastic packet of butter we get with our toast in a bed and breakfast. We will use him, and then we will enjoy him, and then we will cast away the plastic packet, and we'll convert his buttery goodness into a waste product, a psychic waste product that we shall cast away, never to think of him again. Even when a season comes again for the meme lord will have a different saint's name, and therefore be a different saint who has different lore, and we will celebrate it in a different way. So next week we will be covering the lore we have so far. I've got some little bits. I mean, we already know, because Chaos told us, that the way that we celebrate Saint Flup's Day is with special food. And I so far have a special food menu item that I am going to bring forth, and I will share this with you this Friday next week. Unless, of course, you ask me in Q&A, what's the special food item? And I would be compelled to tell you, for I know the answer. But if you can wait, just wait till next Friday. And of course, if you're on YouTube, you'll have to. So, Faces of Eris this week. And my little clue here, I've kind of forgotten what I put here. So it'll be as much of a surprise to me as it is to you. But apparently, it had to be. And so of course it had to be. The Face of Eris this month is Halloween, because we just had Halloween. Yes, and it's been in our faces for about a month if we really like Halloween. Oh, the number of horror movies I've watched this month. Yes, Halloween was good, and some of them were good as well, which isn't usual. Let me tell you, one, I often find myself grasping to find some new Halloween content. No such problem this month for me. And when I do find that new Halloween content, it tends to be a bit rubbish. And then we've had some low points. We always do. But we've had more than our fair share of high points this year. So there we go. So yes, of course, Halloween is the spookiest of occasions. Now, this is a very interesting thing to point out. You might be saying to me, but you big hypocrite, we're following the Discordian calendar. We're about to have in, just about 3 weeks, just under 3 weeks, a Discordian celebration, which we have made out of whole cloth. What are we doing? Sticking with these square holidays that just exist in the Gregorian calendar. Again, an almanacal operation. I mean, there's nothing in the planets, the stars. There's nothing astronomical that says that the 31st of October should be a special day. We've made that up. And indeed, as we have created that out of the chaos, and as it celebrates a particular type of chaos, of course, we wanted the spooky kind. And the thing is, we are not above taking the vibes where we find them, right? So Halloween is a vibe, and it's a spooky vibe, and therefore we, as Discordians, perfectly allowed to consume that spooky vibe and, you know, transform it and re-emit it, which is exactly, you know, well, last month was dubbed Spooky Month, and it was spooky indeed. One of the problems is that a side effect of spookiness is technical shenanigans. Various devices not working quite properly. Thankfully, nothing too inconvenient, although, as I said, my work laptop did completely die on one day. In one day, one morning, like the day before, no problems. The next day, oh, it's being a bit glitchy, and by the end of the day, didn't work at all. Slowly just collapsed for no reason. That is the spooky month price. That is the price of spooky vibes and inhaling them and consuming them and allowing them to enrich you, is that they will take their toll. And in this case, it was electronic devices and the similar being a bit wiggy. But, you know, that's what we do. That's how it is. It is a disappointment for fans of veils because, as many people will tell you, it is when the veil is at its thinnest. So if you like a nice thick veil, I'm afraid you're not going to have much luck in the month of Spooky Month. So, yeah, there we go. That's all that there is to say about that. Oh, and of course, you know, the traditions of Halloween. Well, indeed, the tradition of trick or treat, which doesn't really exist in the UK, but I understand Americans are really into it, is that you are dressing up, you are producing these artifacts of horror, the macabre, the grim, yeah, in order that when the real things are abroad, they cannot tell what's another thing like them and what's just someone dressing up. Yeah, it's an act of confusion fighting the chaos of spiritual unleashment with the chaos of us, well, hacking up a bunch of pumpkins. That's how it works. Of course, it involves candy. Yeah, that's always nice. I mean, we here at the SWDP, as you know, we're big fans of candy, and so that is absolutely great. It's just what we want. And of course, Halloween, it can really help you spot those grey faces in your area. The Scrooge equivalent for Halloween. Actually, I mean, I think that's an interesting point. The amount of people who are willing to just, you know, invite Saint Nick out for a fist fight is much higher than the people who will say that they don't like Halloween. People have tried, sure. People have come out and been quite militantly. I mean, they, you know, in fact, I think they get this sort of righteous feeling, yeah, that comes out. That says, hey, you know, this Halloween business, gosh, it's so wrong, and blah, 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 blah. Yeah, but then they get shouted down much quicker than, you know, Scrooge is, Ebenezer Scrooge types. Yeah, but if you can find someone who's like, oh, I think Halloween just as a concept is appalling, and I think it should be wiped off the face of the earth, you got a grey face there. So, you know, I think that's probably... And it's interesting because I think it's a similar case with your Ebenezer Scrooges. But because of this whole notion of naughty or nice, good and evil, you know, being good to all men in Christmas, people kind of have a higher tolerance for people being, shall we say, Grinchy. Whereas a Halloween Grinch, oh, everybody hates them, don't they? Well, they should, because they're a grey face. So there we are. You know, therefore we can conclude that Halloween is the most wonderful time of the year. I know there is a song talking about the most wonderful time of the year, and I don't think they mean Halloween, but they should, because it kind of is. If you don't like Halloween, everybody hates you. Everybody. Nobody's even... The thing is about Ebenezer Scrooge, right, and the Grinch, they're used for entertainment. Yeah, we enjoy the story of the Grinch. We enjoy the story of Scrooge. There's no equivalent in Halloween of someone who really hates Halloween, and then, you know, and what are they going to do? I mean, 3 ghosts turn up at Christmas. I mean, if 3 ghosts turn up at Halloween, that's just Halloween. So Halloween is a paradoxical enigma in that it should be the most easy holiday to revile, and yet it is actually the hardest. And that is just one of the many contradictions of Halloween. Thank you very much. Let us move on. For it is time once again for Reflective Tarot. Now, I haven't shuffled the deck, but I have got it out of its box ready to be shuffled. The big thing that actually came out was that now you're going to have to watch an old incompetent pastor shuffling tarot cards off to one side because he didn't do it before the show, and it is inconvenient and awkward, but that is what we find. That is what we find in these here circumstances. But we're all right. There we go. We got it. It's fine. All right. This is excellent. Right. Okay. We have a shuffled deck now. Last week, I had chatters who could tell me which card to pull, but we're never unmanned. We're never unmanned by this stuff. No. We can always find. In fact, for some reason, I've just cut the deck at a random place, and I'm going to take the top card off there. It's easier than cutting, you know. I felt a mid-cut was about appropriate. So here we do. We have the tarot vibe of the week. Now, before I go into this, I did a big spiel. Well, not a big spiel. A more involved spiel way back in the very first service. Reflective. The word reflective is very important here. We're not imposing or presupposing any kind of power relative to the card. Yeah, the cards should exist in a sort of stasis in time. You say we have potential. The potential is for now. It's the potential that exists right now. It's not the future. Yeah, and if we talk about the past, we're talking about the last vibe that you came off, and it doesn't matter how long you were on that vibe, so you could have been on it for days or years. Yeah, it just says this is the vibe you've just come off. So this is the vibe you just come off. This is the potential vibe you've got. This is the vibe you have right now, and here are your tools. So that's if I'm doing a reading. Yeah, and what that does is it says, come on, you can come back. Oh, we're back. Oh, I was just in the middle of my reflective tarot spiel there. What is going on with the signal on Friday nights? Two in a week, where I have to now cut it together with a test card in order to put it on YouTube. Okay, so we're going in reflective tarot. Basically, what this card is saying to you is, here's a vibe for the week. Meditate upon it, consider it, wrap your thoughts around it to the amount that you are comfortable. And, you know, we shall see what comes of that. So this month is the Queen of Wands. A very interesting card. Not a card that I personally have seen terribly often. Yeah. Now, your wand energy is a fire energy, and it relates to intellectual passions. And when we use the word passions, yes, we mean those passions as well, because those passions, as people are fond of saying in that arena, you know, the mind is an organ for naughties. Yeah, that it definitely is. But it also means all the passions that are not that. Like if you're an avid bird watcher, train spotter, D&D fan, anime buff, film fanatic, yeah, any of those things. Or, you know, if you've studied anthropology and you love anthropology, or you studied to be a medical practitioner and you love being a medical practitioner, or as I did, study to be a software developer and love being a software developer, or as I am now, a data scientist. Boy, I love me some data. Boy, howdy. You don't even want to know. You don't even want to know how much I love data. It's great. Yeah, all of these things are about wand energy, and the queen in my world, in the reflective tarot world, is about an energy of making changes to the way that you do things personally in order to bring about change in the world through your own personal energy will, imposition of your will, application of your will. So it's not about taking an action, doing a thing, checking off boxes on a checklist. No, siree. It is about just in a contemplation, changing the way you approach matters in life. And the Queen of Wands, of course, therefore, thinks of an intellectual mind flip in order to do something new in the world by expressing that mind flip through their own persona, without actually, talking about acting differently. You still get up in the morning, you still have breakfast, you still go to work, you still do everything the same. Your actions haven't changed, but the way that you deal with incoming data has now changed, and you expect that your or the Queen expects that her change in attitude will reflect as a change in the world, and that is the Queen of Wands and the Queen of Wands energy right there. So there we are. That is this week's reflective vibe, which is of course very appropriate for New-vember. That is a New-vember vibe all the way around. New-vember is telling us, change, but change in a way that you really internalize, that you can wrap your head around the change that you make. That's what New-vember is telling us so far. And how will that go for us? Well, we shall find out in due course. Kanda has come, and last week I did actually get asked questions, one of the most important being why I'd never played Team Fortress 2, and trust me, I did think about this long and hard, and I did visit Team Fortress 2's Wikipedia page, and I know that one thing we know already about the lore of Flup is that he has something to do with Team Fortress 2. Not sure exactly what. It has to be some probably Team Fortress 2 related miracle that has still not been revealed. We have not had the revelation of Flup and Team Fortress 2 yet, but it exists. The mystery of Flup and Team Fortress 2. I do not maybe feel that I am. The thing is, I'm a complete outsider on these things. I don't play things like Team Fortress 2, and I wouldn't enjoy Team Fortress 2 if I did play it, because it's not the kind of thing I enjoy. I'm the kind of sado who enjoys Assassin's Creed Valhalla, the most reviled Assassin's Creed that people said was bloated, overlong, too much, and I do not find it to be so. I know there's a lot of it, but the more experiences I have in that game, and the more I wander around the made-up English countryside, occasionally stoving in people's heads with an upgraded axe and jumping out of bushes and stabbing people in the face, but also then going for a quick jog on my trot on my horse, and then a jog up a hill to stand on a high point and press a button, which is an Assassin's Creed standard. And people really hated the thing where little things happen here and there. They call them mysteries, and they're not side missions. They don't say go and fetch me 10 bushels of wheat and bring them back here and I'll give you some gold or whatever, like they do in RPGs. They're just sort of odd little encounters that happen and make you feel, and if you are minded, you may go, that was weird. People hated those, and I love them. I love these little bits of busy work that kind of make you wonder, or at least they're intended, I think, to make you wonder about the world in which you sit inside the side. So I love all that, which means that I don't love multiplayer shooty games where you just, I've heard there's a lot of humour in between the matches and cutscenes, and I'm sure you're very happy. I was slightly excited when I heard there were 7 different types of thing that you could be in Team Fortress 2, which might relate to the 7 children of Eris, and indeed a Team Fortressy setup has the potential to be Erisian, but it turns out there are 9, and they're divided into 3 sets of 3. I couldn't find much in there, but we know that there is some Team Fortress 2 meme related miracle mystery about Flup. We know that from last week. So there we are. So maybe that's enough for us to go on. If you have any ideas, like there are comments. I don't think in Twitch you can do comments, that's the chat. But if you're watching this on YouTube, you could leave me a suggestion. Or if anything else Saint Flup related comes to your mind. If the name Saint Flup the Meme Lord echoes within you and sets up a resonance, and you think, well, Saint Flup sounds like the kind of guy who, you are probably receiving a revelation and you must pass it back to the SWDP for how should we celebrate this. And that's how this whole thing works. Remember, this is a religion that's a joke, but it is also a joke that's a religion. And this is exactly the type of thing that happens in those circumstances. So please pass it back. I am the conduit. I am the umpire, the referee. And if you are watching this, you, whether you like it or not, are somehow tangentially part of the SWDP flock. But even as I am that conduit, I am not in charge per se. I am just here to receive matters received, matters passed on. You know, people come and tell me about gigantic, super technological space gods and their fascination with said thing. And I am there to go, well, that's passing. The law is... It's a bit like, you know, when the sun made the planets. We've got meme dust, concept, effervescent concepts flying around in the SWDP space, and they need time to come together to form meme planets, to form the law that is specific to the SWDP branch of the Discordian worldwide mycelial network. And you know, I'm here to take it, sort it, shape it, pass it back, receive it again, whatever. So that's where we're at. And I think that about neatly brings us to the time. It is the time, flock. It is the time, my children. You see, this is the thing. I have to assume the manner of a more traditional deacon, pastor, priest, whatever you want, but it's not true, really, unless you want it to be true. I'm not sure that I want it to be entirely true. I guide us in the same way that, you know, a student directing a play at drama college is in charge. They're just a student, but they're just trying to learn stuff by doing a thing and adopting a role. Pastor is my role. It's not me. So there we go. Take of that what you will. But here, of course, we have the sacrament. This is mine. Yours may vary in colour, shape, but of course it represents the hot dog, the lone hot dog consumed by the goddess after the original snub, and the thing that brought joy out of that bitter disappointment of not being invited to even the most mediocre of parties. We are to go alone now and consume it joyously. And in order to bring us to that state of joyous solitude, we shall, of course, recite the SWDP sacramental mantra. I could not find a hot dog, not even with a bun, so I eat this candy noodle, because devotion comes with fun. Hail Eris. A fine sacrament. Feels very hot doggy, in a sort of non-hot doggy kind of way. My work Discord has popped up on that screen over there. Not that you needed to know that, but there we are. I think one of the things that I have probably neglected in this process of running this service every week. The beginning is pretty good. The middle sometimes gets a bit windy, but that's your fault for not interrupting me or forcing me off on tangents enough. That is going to become a thing. At one point I can see in the future the whole thing being you're going to have to be able to see the chat, me responding to the chat, and I'm going to have to cut down the slides quite drastically. In fact, today we only had 2 actual slides and then the Face of Eris slide, and have to be fighting to make whatever the point is in amongst this barrage of nonsense that's coming my way, which is absolutely as it should be. But I have not really ever come up with a proper exit, as it were. And in fact, it has occurred to me that, if you are enjoying the asynchronous version of this service brought to you by the video hosting platform YouTube, then it's time for me right now to say thank you very much for watching. And of course, if you have enjoyed the service, or you find the services to be of use, or you didn't enjoy the service but you can see how somebody else might get some value out of it, then there is a like button, and I am told that we are encouraged to tell people to click on that like button. So there we are. I have told you that now, and if you could comply with unquestioning obedience, that would be just super. Thanks. So there's that. That is definitely the end for the YouTubers, and for the Twitch followers. Well, the Twitch flock has been thin on the ground tonight, which is absolutely fine. It's New-vember, and indeed there is a downside to newness. That downside being that you suddenly feel less sure. Last week we were in the spooky month vibe and it blew up big time. This week we are in a new vibe, and it always feels a bit soupy and awkward, and there's always a bit left over. It's a little bit like when you go to a fast food establishment and ask for a milkshake, and you ask for a banana milkshake, but the last person that asked for a milkshake had a strawberry milkshake, and your banana milkshake starts off tasting just a little bit strawberry. Yeah, that's how it is here. We're in New-vember, but the shadows of spookiness have not still quite gone, and they were supposed to have gone. So they've gone a little bit dry, a little bit stale. They're past their best. So hopefully next week we will be able to approach matters with a little bit more New-vember energy. And of course we will need to, for we will be working together on discovering, uncovering, manifesting the law of Saint Flup. So in the name of Eris and in the name of Saint Flup, I bid you go back to your Discordian homes and use your Discordian minds to connect with the chaos and bring us forth the lore, the tales, the glory of Saint Flup, the meme lord, for his day approaches, or her day approaches, their day approaches. They don't like to be pigeonholed, which I'm sure some of you can relate to. And therefore their glory is to be celebrated on the 20th November, before, of course, they are cast into the darkness of the past, where they shall never emerge from again. There will be no second coming. Saint Flup is a single-use, one-off saint only. Hail Eris, thank you for watching, and I will see you next Friday, where we will do it all over again. Thank you very much.
Portai ante cedum serpentem quil vertumenus.